Cool. So, just so I can tell, who's following along? So I can, yeah? Yeah. So have you all got Node and NPM installed? Are you having problems? Or?
I can't find where to get it from.
Oh, right, nodejs.org, I think. I will try and go as slow as possible. Like, how much JavaScript have you guys written?
A little bit.
None at all? Or you've written quite a bit? Nice. So I'll go as slow as fast as you want me to. If you have any questions, hey, are you following along on your laptop or?
Yeah, I have a laptop.
Cool. So I'm going to start by making a JavaScript file. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm gonna build. So I'm gonna build a thing that streams things from Twitter, extracts the images from them, and puts them up to Clarify. And Clarify sends back tags, a list of tags, what it thinks are in the image, and then I'm going to use that data to organize them on the disk. So it'll be a small little app, should take me maybe half an hour, 40 minutes something, if I'm going slowly enough to explain everything. So if you don't know how to run Node programs, I'll just do a hello world just to show you. I'll just save that. So you just do node and then the file name, or for index.js you can do node dot, so that's exactly the same thing there. Cool. So I think the first thing we'll start with is using Twitter. So if you haven't already, you'll need to make a Twitter app. So if you make a Twitter account and go to apps.twitter.com if you've not got one already, and hit create a new app. You just need to put in a name, a description, a website. You can put anything you want, like your Twitter URL, whatever, it doesn't matter. And just hit yes and create your app. And then you'll have an app like this. And what you're interested in is keys and access tokens. You'll want these and these, and you'll need to generate these two as well. Down here. Mine are already generated and I'll be using those. So to use Twitter, I'm going to use a library called Twit, which you can find on GitHub. We can install it with a package manager, that's npm. If you've not got npm installed, it should come with Node when you install Node. So all you do to install it is npm install twit. So we'll do npm install, and what we'll do is pass in a command line flag -- save, and what that does is it generates initially, actually it doesn't, I need to initialize a project first. Let's call it Twitter image grouper or something, whatever version, we don't need a description, index.js, that's fine, whatever. Cool. So now we can do -- save. So we're installing Twit, and what that does to your package.json after you've made a project is it puts it into this file here. So in here it puts in dependencies for your application. So I now have Twit in there, which is the library that I'm going to be using for streaming Twitter. So now I can require that in my code. And I can use it basically. First thing we want to be doing is creating an instance of Twit, which will let's call it t new Twit, and you pass it an object which contains a consumer key. So basically all the details that come from the Twitter API app page. So we'll put all those in. You've got an access token as well, and an access token secret there. So you'll want to put in your tokens in like that, but I'm not going to put mine in because I don't want you to see them for the whole time. So I'm just going to do it with environmental variables. So I'm going to go process.env. What am I calling it? That. But again, you'll want to have a string just like in these two lines here, if you're following along. Let's just copy that for the other ones. Consumer secret. Let's see. Access token. Access token secret. So all of that stuff comes from the application page that you can find here. Again, like I said earlier, in keys and access tokens. So consumer key, consumer secret, access token, and access token secret. Just put that in as a string in this object. So you've got an object in here. I don't know how much experience you guys have with JavaScript, but yeah, cool. So what that does is when you run that, it basically initializes a twit object which will verify with Twitter that you have a valid application. It can be invalid for many reasons, but we won't go into that. Cool, so if I just run that, it won't do much at all. Or, let's see, that's why, okay. Cool, yeah, it doesn't do much at all. Cool. So what we want to be doing is streaming tweets. So we can make a new stream by doing t.stream. And we need to basically pass in the endpoint that we're doing. So we're going to be going to the status filter endpoint on Twitter, which is basically a URL. But this library abstracts everything away, so we don't have to deal with all this. But basically, it's a URL that we're sending to. So it's technically, lost it. It's basically that URL. I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, it's a URL. And what we're going to do is track a certain keyword. Does anyone have an idea for a word that's said a lot on Twitter that we could stream live?
Okay, Trump.
Trump. Yeah, Trump's probably a good one.
That was my thinking.
Trump. Yeah. All right, we'll stream Trump for now and see what's in there. So we've made a stream, but we're not doing anything with it at the minute. So what we want to be doing is setting up a callback. So every time we get a tweet, on a tweet, we want to pass in a function that's called every time a tweet comes into the stream. So this here is an anonymous function that's called, and it will take an argument of tweet. And now inside this function block here, there I've kind of highlighted it. We can use the tweet, so we can do console.log tweet.text and tweet.user and .screen name, and there's a whole load of metadata you can access in the tweet object, and it's actually huge. I'll just log. Let's see. Const. We need to actually stream equals. There we go. Cool. So that's a lot of tweets. Each one of those lines is a tweet. So that's a lot. I was going to use dog if no one suggested anything, and it would have been a lot less. So Trump's a good one. I'll just try and show you how big this tweet object is, just so that you can see all the data that's available. Okay. So I can't even find where one begins, but you can see there's a whole load of information. But what we're actually interested in, if we can find it, is the URL of an image. I know where it is, but yeah, I know where it is. I'll find it later. For now, has everyone managed to install Node and give it a go? Is anyone still following along? Nice. Cool. So we've got one left, have we?
I didn't register that.
What was the error?
Which link do I have to go to?
apps.twitter.com?
Do I need a callback URL?
No. A callback URL is for when you're like doing sign up with Twitter and then you need to set up you know, cool.
Still catching up because I turned up a bit late.
What's that?
Turned up a bit late, so I'm still catching up.
That's fine, no worries. Cool, so we've done our little hello world with Twitter. Let's now introduce the Clarify API. So in the Facebook group, there's a link which will give you a load more free credits than you normally get. So you normally get like a certain amount of times you can call this API. But if you'll get like 50,000 rather than 5,000 if you sign up with that link that we sorted out for you. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, Clarify basically does image classification as a service, which is it uses deep learning. So deep learning is basically neural networks, but a neural network with a whole load of layers. And they basically expose that to you. All you need to do is upload an image and you get back a huge list of about 20 different tags and a probability associated with each tag, which tells you how likely it is that that thing is in the image. So should we get an image of Trump to use? See what it thinks is in the image. Which one shall I choose? Any?
Make America great again.
This one? This one? All right. Cool. Nice one. Let's just put that at the top. Default image or something, I don't know. Put that in there. Cool, so now we can use that when we do the API stuff. So it's like the Twitter thing in that you need auth keys for that as well. You can get, if you've not already done that, where is it? It's developer.clarify.com/account/applications. I think when you sign up with the link on Facebook, it will automatically try and make you make an app. So you can create a new app here, type a name. You want the general model that will basically classify like 11,000 different things in any image. There's also stuff like not safe for work. I think, as far as I know, that will tell you how likely it is that there's something adult in there. Interestingly, the general model will also return adult tags, and I might get some later, we'll see. So yeah, you just create an application. I already have one on another account that I'll be using. Okay, let's see, what are we doing? So just to test this out, I'm going to use a library called Clarify. Let's see, Clarify JavaScript. Let's see how you install that. So in the require, it's Clarify, which means that the npm install will be just Clarify. Cool, so that should install, which then means we can require that. There. And then we can start to use the Clarify API with that. So it's just like Twitter in that we need to initialize an object first. So let's call it lowercase clarify.app. And rather than an object, it's just two parameters. So you'll want to go into Clarify application. And in there, you need to find the client ID and the client secret. So you want to put two strings in like that. Again, I'm doing it with environmental variables, so I will do dot clarify client ID. I've spelled that wrong. Clarify client ID, and you want the client secret. Just like that, you'll want strings instead. Cool. Let's just test that just to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. All right, cool. So then the function that you can call to actually send this request is buried deep inside this object for some reason. Clarify .models .predict. And then you want to specify the model that you want. So we'll be using the general model. So this is just like a constant that resolves to a string for the general model. I don't know what the exact string is. And then you want the URL. So we'll be using our default image that we defined up here earlier. And then what we want to do is set up a callback like we did with the Twitter one. So this library is written slightly differently in that it uses JavaScript promises. Don't worry about it if you've not used them. You just need to do .then and then pass in a function. So we'll have a response from clarify. So that's available now in our function. And then we can access the data that's returned. So I'll just show you what's returned in raw format, and then we'll extract what we need in a minute. Actually, let's also handle an error, just in case there is an error. There could be an error, who knows? Cool. Let's see if that works. Let's actually get rid of the Twitter stuff for now. Let's just comment that out. There. How are we doing for time? That's all right. Cool, so that's what you get back from Twitter. Again, it's not from Twitter, from Clarify. Pretty big as well. But what we're actually interested in, I can't even find it in here. What we're interested in is, it's in the response.data.outputs 0, and 0 is probably the fact that you can pass in multiple URLs to this, I think. So we're only getting one back because we're only sending one URL. I think that's what it is. Then we want the data from that URL response, and then we want the concepts. And the concepts is what I was talking about earlier with the tags. So you'll have an object for each concept, and each object will have the name of the tag, the probability, and maybe some other stuff. Let's have a look. Let's log it. Let's do console.log just to see what we're working with. And we can see the tags. So remember, this is the tags for that Trump image. So first one, should we compare what the image looks like? So let's see. Business, does that make sense? I don't know. Does it look business-like? I guess he's wearing a suit. Kind of makes sense. People, yeah, there's a person in the image. That makes sense as well. Leader, does he look like a leader? No, you would hope so. Coaching, I mean, maybe. Man, yes, he is male, I think. I mean, we won't assume his gender, but yeah. Leadership, yeah. Education, maybe. There's text on the image, yeah. So basically you can use these things to get a general idea of what's in an image. So you can do loads of stuff with that. So for the app I will try and finish, if I have time, is basically just downloading the image and putting it in the directory, in a directory structure based on the most accurate image, the most accurate tag, the most, I can't think of the right word. The most likely tag is the right word. So if I was doing this in my app later, it will make a directory called business and put the image in there. So hopefully we will finish that. Yeah. So we've used both of the APIs. How's everyone doing? Is anyone having any issues? Is anyone still following along? Are you still following along?
Not quite.
Not quite. Any small issues? Like,
No, it's just
yeah.
keeping on.
Okay. Am I going too quickly? Too slowly?
To type it all out at the same time and take it in a little bit.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. I'm trying to get through the whole application as well. So like,
No, it's fine, crack on.
yeah. Cool. Hopefully everything will be fine. So now we've used Clarify and we've used Twitter. Now we're going to wrap it up into a nice little app that we can run. So at the minute we're just using a default image. What we want to be doing is, I guess, specifying it dynamically rather than using it from here. So we'll just get rid of that. I guess we can do it from the command line. Make a little command line app. So we can access the arguments that you pass in to a command line program with process.argv, I think. Let's just see. Yeah, I think so. Let's just test that. No dot, maybe not. Oh yeah, because we've not. Let's just comment that out for now. Cool, process.argv should log. Yeah, it did log. Jeez, can't even find it. I don't know if you happen to see it, but it was basically an array of the things that are passed in when I run the program. Let's just run that again without logging the tweets. Ugh. Cool, so we have node, which is what we ran from the command line. That's just the path to the executable of node. And then there's the path of the thing, which was dot, which resolves to the directory, index.js. So if we pass in, say, Trump, we have Trump in that array. So then we can access Trump to do things like stream Trump dynamically. What was it? Process.argv, that is the third one, so 2. So now we can pass in whatever we want, so we can type, actually let's log tweet.txt instead, rather than that huge thing. Pass in Trump, logs tweets to do with Trump, pass in dog, passes, you get tweets with dog in it, and cats apparently as well. Yeah, cool. So now we're basically tracking all of the tweets that have whatever we pass in to the program. The next thing we want to do is use the image that's in that tweet, pass it up to clarify and work out what's in it so that we can classify it on the disk. So I'm just going to wrap this in a function so that we can call it. Let's call it predict, because that's what it's doing. We need to pass in a URL to an image. And we need to pass in a function that we can call later to when it's done, which is what we're doing down here. So we'll want to replace that with the function that we're passing in, so we'll call it a callback function. Let's just get let's just put that along there. Okay, cool. So instead of passing in a function here, we will just, actually what we'll do is call the callback function when we get a response from clarify here. So we'll call it with the concept. So back from this function we will get that array that we had earlier with like the probability and stuff. Yeah. And if there's an error, actually what we'll do is make this callback be called with an error argument and a response argument. So there's no error when it's in this block of code here. So we'll just return null on the first argument. And for this one, we will call back with the error and no response from the API because there's an error. So yeah, we shouldn't have any errors at the moment, but you know, error handling is a good thing. Cool. So now we can call that predict function that we just wrote when we have a new tweet. I guess also what we want to do is check that there's actually an image in the tweet. So I just need to look up how we find out that, because it's like that huge object I don't remember. So we can filter out whether a tweet is in whether an image is in the tweet by checking for entities and media. So if there's not tweet.entities.media, if there's no object of that in the huge object, then there's no images. Another thing I'm going to do actually is check if the tweet has been retweeted, because if it has, then we'll be downloading the same image loads of times every time it's retweeted, and if there's something viral on about Trump, which there probably is, then we'll get the same image loads of times, which we don't want. So we can do that by just literally looking at tweet.retweeted, which is just a Boolean true-false value. So if the tweet is retweeted or there's no media in the tweet, then just return. So that will mean that anything that I write below here won't be executed if there's a tweet that's been retweeted or there's a tweet that doesn't have any images in it. So now we know that everything below this line, we can use the image. So So the image is actually in, again, tweet.entities.media, which is where it's stored. What we'll do is extract the first one. And then that's an object which contains media URL HTTPS. There's also HTTP as well, but we'll use HTTPS. So I'll just stream that. Hope there's no problems because I've just written a load of code with no testing. Oh, I need to pass in Trump or whatever. Cool, so these should be images of Trump. Hopefully they are not too explicit. Yeah, so they're images that are being tweeted with Trump. Okay, I guess that's a Trump hat, so kind of relevant. Cool. How much time have we got? Cool. Okay, so that's quite a lot of images. Trump's a good one, whoever suggested that. So we can use this with Clarify now. So we can call that predict function we just wrote. Hopefully that works. I've not tested it yet. With the URL, so tweet.entities.media 0 media URL HTTPS, and then we'll pass in a function. I'll just put it on a new line so that it doesn't go over. What do we pass in again? We are getting back an error and then the concepts, like that. So now we have access to the error. If there's an error, then we'll just see what the error is. Hopefully there won't be. Otherwise, we have access to the concepts below here. So let's just return. If there's an error, we don't want to have more errors. So we have access to that array that we had earlier with the likelihood that thing was in the image. So now we can use that to output our image to disk if we would like. So to do that, I guess we need a directory structure on the disk. So at the minute, we just have this. We need to have like a place to output them to. So I'm actually going to use a library called shell.js. I don't know how many of you guys have used Unix, but basically it gives you like Unix commands within JavaScript. It's really awesome. So we can install that with npm install shell.js. And we can require it globally here, which means that we can do things like ls directly rather than having like shell.js.ls. So I'll just install shell.js. Let's save that so that it's put in our package.json. Cool. Let's just check package.json. Cool, we've put everything in package.json. So that's installed, which means we can now require that. Actually, we don't need to put it in a variable because I said a minute ago that we will require it globally so that we can do things like ls. So if we do ls now, let me just comment out everything else. It should return an array of everything that's in the directory. We'll see anyway, or not. I guess I need to print it. Yeah, cool. So index.js, node modules, package.json, and then there's all the other Unix stuff that are available. Cool. So I guess what we want to do is create an image directory so that we're not just putting it all in root. So I can't remember how to do this. Yeah. So we want to check if a directory exists already. I guess we need to decide the directory. So if we take that in from input from command line, I guess. So process.argv, we were using 2 for the Twitter thing. So if we use 3, const directory, should we call it? So that, or I guess we could have a default of image. So if the directory isn't in the list, if the directory isn't in the ls, so if it, in JavaScript there's no easy way to do it, so you have to check whether it's in an array by what's returned from index of. So if it equals -1, then it's not in the array. So if it equals -1, then we can make a directory of that directory there, and that should make it. So if we just test that out with images, hopefully that will make a directory, or it won't. Live debugging, woo! Trump, images, let's see if that's there. Yeah, so we have an images directory which should be empty. Yep. Cool. That's exactly what we wanted. So now we know where to output them to. So we have this directory variable that we can use. It's weird that. Okay, I still need to change that call, it looks like. We'll get to that when we need it. Cool. Yeah, of course we do. So now we have a directory, so we can download the image. I don't know how to do that, so let's look that up. Image downloader, okay, looks like there's a thing that does it. Okay, so we can install that node module there. What was it called? Image downloader. And then, let's see. Okay, so we call image downloader with an object which contains the URL and the output destination. And then a function that's called, I guess, when it's finished saving, so that we know when it's saved and if there's an error or something. So let's do that. Let's require our image downloader up top here. Download image equals image downloader. How are we doing for time? It's all right. Pizza might be here in about 10 minutes probably. So now we can use it just like on here, pass in an object with all this stuff. Cool. What was in there? We had a URL. So we have a URL because we have it from the tweet. Media URL HTTPS. What else do we need? Destination. So I guess we want the directory. What else do we want? We want to classify it with what we got back from Clarify. That might not actually work, so I actually need to get the base path first. I need to join the base path with the directory that we want to put it in. I forgot how to do that, so I'm just going to look at my notes. Where are we here? I've completely blanked, so can't remember everything. Let's see. There we go, path.join, yeah. So path is a module which is in every node installation, which lets you join the path that you're executing from with a string so you can output to that directory. So if we do path.join, dir name, which is a constant in every node execution, if we join that with the directory we want to output to, so we want directory plus the concept from Clarify. So where is our concept? Our concept is in concepts. I guess we want the first one because that's the most likely one. If you remember, it was a list with each object having a probability, and it was ordered so that the first one in that list was the most likely one. So I think it was .name for the tag. So now that should output to that directory. I guess what we need to do actually is make that directory first. So if we can probably literally just copy that code from there. Oop. ls the image directory and check if the directory we want is in the thing. Let's just check if that's right. It's in my notes, so looks right to me. So that should make a directory if it doesn't exist. Let's just log the concept so that we can debug. Let's run Trump and put it in image 1 or something. Okay, we have a problem. Default image. Yeah, I guess we want to replace that with the URL. Is there any more problems? Hopefully not. Trump image 1. Cool, we have our, okay, we have a problem. Already exists. Okay, I'm literally just gonna copy down what I have from my notes because live debugging isn't fun. So bear with me. Basically the same thing actually, but let's see. Let's have the directory concept0.name, yep. And then if we pass in the new directory, cool. Hopefully we won't get that problem. Cool, that should have actually outputted to the disk. Let's have a look at our image2 directory that we just did. So now we have files in there. So if I go to File Explorer, Demo, image2, we now have, I don't know if you can see that, don't know how to make that any bigger, but it's a load of images classified, so administration. Let's see this. Is that administration? I don't know. I guess so. He looks like, is he a Republican in the Republican administration? I don't know. Business. I guess they're wearing suits, maybe. Desktop? I don't know. Drag race. I have no idea. This is not great. No person. Is there a person in this image? No, there is not. Great. There should be people in these images. Yeah, people. That's good. Are these a portrait? Yep, that's a portrait. Is there a rainbow? That's quite specific. Yeah, there's a rainbow. That's a good one. Let's see. Should we run it for a bit longer, actually? Let's just. You know how earlier there was a variable, there was a done variable in this attribute in this object here. If we do that, then we can check when we have a new image saved to the disk. So it takes an error, file name, and an image. We're interested in the file name, I guess. So done, error, file name, that'll do. Let's just log the file name and then run that again. Node, Trump again, and image 3. Cool. So they're starting to come in. So they should live update in the file system, and they are. So child, is this a child? Yes. I mean, they're from Twitter, so they're going to be random. Hand. Yep, that looks like a hand to me. So you get a whole load of tags back. So Clarify does like 11,000 different concepts. So it's very quickly filling up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. How did anyone manage to follow along the whole way? No? No? So if you didn't, all my code is on GitHub. So Matt Burman, there. I just live coded that. It's all in one file, and you can try and run it later if you want. Yeah, that's pretty much all I was going to say. That's actually pretty much on time because we scheduled the pizza to come for like 10 to. Does anyone have any like questions or anything?
How do you spell your name? How do I find that?
Yeah, good point. I might be talking too quickly. So let's just zoom in. Okay, my touchpad isn't working. Burman? Matt Burman?
Okay. 2 T's.
Yeah. I don't know, can you not read that? A little bit small, yeah. Any other questions? Huh?
Nothing else, just tell them what it was.
All right, okay.
You know when you were setting up the Twitter like keys and stuff, what fields are needed for it?
So let's go back and show you that. So Twitter app, I'll go to mine. So if you go to keys and access tokens, you want consumer key, consumer secret, access token, and access token secret. They're all on this tab. If you're on apps.twitter.com, make your app. Have you made an application?
Yeah. Is it only your name, description, and website?
All right.
There's a whole bunch of things you have to fill in.
Yeah, just put in whatever you want. So name, it has to be a unique name for all applications. Description can be whatever you want. Website can be whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Callback can be empty. So yeah.
Everything else can just be empty. And then
It can pretty much all be whatever you want as long as you know what it is. That's fine. Doesn't mean all that much to anyone.
yeah,
It's not public or
it's
anything.
a local thing, so. Was that-
Yeah, you should be fine. So once you've done that, you put it into twit here. I've put it in through environmental variables, but you'll want to put it in as a string, so rather than processed.
Presumably you set that up before the session, like all the
Yeah. I've come prepared. Any other questions?
So if you wanted like, to interact with people from Twitter,
Yeah?
and what they're like putting up their images, is that possible? as well?
Yeah, that's totally possible. So like we're getting back all these tags. So in this function, you could extend this code to literally do whatever you want with these concepts in the tweet. So in here, you've got the tweet, and you can access all of that data in there. There's a whole load of data that you could look at and see what you could do with it. So you can do tweet.text for the text. There's all sorts of stuff, to be honest. There's obviously the image. Like I've written a thing that takes the image and puts emoji on people's faces. I've written like chatbots. Oh, it looks like we've hit an API limit from Clarify. Cool. Good job I wrote an error handler, otherwise I would have crashed everything. Yeah, so yeah, you can reply with the Twitter API. Everything you need to know about the Twitter API is at dev.twitter.com. They've actually just updated their website, I think. It's completely different, so I have no idea where everything is. So what we're doing at the moment is using the streaming API to stream with a filter. This is what I was touching on earlier. It's the filter endpoint, status filter endpoint. But then you can use all of the other APIs after that. So you could use the REST API to make a new tweet. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. But if we go back to like twit, there's loads of examples in the documentation here. So I think it's called like create or something, or tweet or something. Anyway, it'll be in documentation on there, and you can make a new retweet to reply to people. I won't demo it now, but it's definitely possible. I've done it loads of times. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Regarding JavaScript, you don't have to declare everything as constant, right?
No, you don't. So constant came in with, I think, ECMAScript 6, I think, or maybe ES5, I'm not sure. It's basically best style now in ES6 as to use constant so that you don't mutate variables too much. It's just best style practices. I could show you if you're interested in style of JavaScript. So fun.
Is that by importing things in general?
Huh?
Is that just by importing things?
So constant is just for any variable. So I've used const here, and I've used it when I'm importing it as well.
Oh no, what I meant is like, is const best practice for when you're requiring something in?
It's best practice for any variable, really, that you're not going to change. Yeah. Ideally, you shouldn't change variables anyway. Like I mean, you can, but it's all style. People are very opinionated about style, and I'm not going to get into that. Any other questions?
Are there any other wrappers for Clarify other than JavaScript?
I think there are, yeah. Let's have a look. I know there's some on the Clarify website somewhere. Let's have a look. A lot of them are community built as well. Let's see, what are we looking for? Guide.
API clients?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's official ones, and then there's ones built by the community just on GitHub, so you can check those out. The one I used was the JavaScript client. We were on this earlier. So you can use that in the browser as JavaScript, or you can run it in Node, like we're doing here. Cool. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? Cool. I guess that's it. I'm around after now. We're going to be going to Sheffield JS after we've had pizza, which should be here any moment. There should be plenty of pizza. There's like 3 20-inch pizzas, which is like that big. I don't know if any of you were at Hack Sheffield, but we had like 24 of them. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Cool. Let's go find pizza.